33-story hotel and condo project.
I'd probably be
Okay,
like
like
that.
stop, tap.
This is a plan by the community for the community.
This one here. Showing me.
No problem, Ken. Thanks for having me.
It's Kent Molgat for KelownaNow. And we're joined by Jenna Tellz, a drag queen. You're the first drag queen we've had on this show, so.
Wow, I'm excited to be here. I'm super stoked. I was talking to my drag mother, so my kind of mentor, runs the actor studio, and when I told her kind of about this opportunity, she was like, go for it, you should do this, it'll be fun. So
Yeah, so fantastic. And the unique thing is that you have not only gone in the sort of drag queen direction, but you've managed to turn this into your full-time gig. This is your living.
Yeah, this is how I make my living, and it's something I'm really happy and proud about because not a lot of people get the opportunity to live their dreams and make an impact. But I'm really happy that I can put on shows, make people smile and laugh, and talk to kids, and make people just in general make the world just a little bit better.
Right. So people might see you putting on a show at like Munan's Post.
Munan's Post. That's where I put on. That's where my favorite venue to work at. Yeah, is Munan's.
But then I was also really interested to hear that you not only do that, but you've done some outreach work with schools and whatnot. And tell me about that.
Yeah, so it first started in, I sometimes go and do gigs in Penticton, so I'm doing one this coming weekend, for instance. And the first time I was in Penticton, I kind of got to meet some kids that were at one of the events. And they asked me to come back and speak at one of their kind of youth group gatherings that they do, just to kind of give advice to gay kids and queer youth who are growing up. So I was able to do that, and it was really, really fun. And then I ran into one of my old teachers because I graduated at Rutland Senior Secondary, and kind of through all of that, I was able to go and share my story to kids and kind of share a message of inclusivity, along with some other really good speakers.
Right.
But it was really nice to do.
So this is a broad assembly of kids.
Yeah.
Not all of whom might necessarily embrace the idea of a drag queen, and you're telling your story.
Yeah. Well, it was surprising. I went in there and I was like, okay, so who knows what I am? And then I was like, I'm a drag queen. And then everyone just put up their hands. They all loved it. Spent a solid 5 minutes of just taking pictures right after, where it was just constant. I didn't even know where the cameras were.
Did you sense anyone in the room that's just, not accepting?
I mean, there definitely is sometimes, but it's usually not from youth. It's usually from sometimes maybe older people who are a little bit more set in their ways, or who might not know about what a drag queen is or what I do. But other than that, I just focus on the positive, and I feel like I was able to make a positive impact that day. So. Right.
We were talking before also about your own personal journey. Your family wasn't all that liberal-minded, and so and it's been tough for you.
Yeah. So it happened about 3 years ago, I want to say now, maybe 4. I'm terrible at remembering how long ago things happened. But when I was 19, basically, I came out as gay, and I was raised in a very religious upbringing as a Jehovah's Witness. And so my parents, when they found out I was gay, they didn't want me as part of the family anymore, because it wasn't viewed as something that was good for me, as taught by the religion. So they basically said I had to change or I had to leave, and so I said I can't change, and so I had to leave.
So you haven't talked to your parents for all that time?
No, it's I've had some brief interactions with them where they've just told me that they don't want to talk to me, basically, and that's been hard to deal with. But throughout the times that's followed, and all the things that I've done with my life and new experiences I've made, I've been able to kind of build my own family of friends and stuff. So I feel fairly comfortable now in my life. But it's still, sometimes I wish my parents could be like, oh, I'm proud of you. So
yeah. So it would be nice for you to be able to reach out to other young people who might be following in a similar path, who have to deal with, the choice between being themselves or keeping their family contacts.
Definitely. I mean, that's one of the things I always like to mention when I'm at these assemblies and when I'm talking to kids is, the vast majority of people that I know who came out didn't come out until after high school. So there are definitely some kids who are in school who are out and open about it. And I'm very proud to see that and very happy to see that. But I also try to make sure that I reach out to kids who might be a little bit more leery of sharing who they are with the world, just because it could be because of family and stuff. And I know that growing up in a very homophobic family, even before they knew I was gay, it was really hard on my self-esteem. So I try to make sure that I reach out to these kids and help them realize that it's okay to be themselves, and sometimes it's, you have to make your own family in the world, but you can still have a good and happy life.
How do you sense that we're doing as a broader society in terms of acceptance?
I think it has come so far to the point that even though I don't necessarily feel super comfortable walking down the street in drag, I know that if anyone were to come and say something to me, there would be someone who would say something back. So I feel like that's a huge improvement in the situation where we were, decades ago. And I mean, I'm fairly young, so I wasn't around for that.
Right.
But, hearing about stories that happened in the past when it came to being gay, I'm fairly happy with where we're going. But I feel like there still needs to be more of us who push the boundaries and make sure that we speak up. One of the things I talked to kids about was making sure that there's a lot of kids who will be like, I don't have a problem with gays. And that's what I would call a passive ally. But I think it's really important to have active allies. So people who will speak up when something is going wrong or when someone is being bullied or pushed aside or discriminated against in general.
Right. So we haven't sort of climbed the mountain yet.
No, but we're definitely making a steady pace up the hill. So I'm really happy about that.
So when you put on these shows, is it a real fringe thing, people wanting to see a drag show, or is it pretty much anybody?
So with drag shows, I find we're in a really happy place with drag because RuPaul's Drag Race is a really popular TV show, and it's really brought drag more so into the mainstream. And I would say if it wasn't for, that's one of the things that's allowed me to make sure that I can pay my bills at the end of the day, is bringing that into the mainstream. So people, whereas before they might not know what a drag queen is and just make a judgment, now they're getting kind of exposed to what drag queens do and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So we like to keep these interviews to about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Did you come here with a message in mind that you really wanted to?
Well, I just wanted to let people know. I quit my job recently to pursue drag full time, and I wanted to let people know that there is a drag scene in Kelowna. So a lot of people, if they go to Vancouver or Toronto or a big city, they know there's a drag scene here. But one of the biggest things that I've faced is that when I go out in drag, I always get people who are like, I didn't know we had drag queens in Kelowna. I didn't know we had drag shows. So if you've never been to a drag show, come out and see one. We talk about a lot of different things. We do a lot of crazy numbers and stuff, and everyone brings something unique to the table.
Right. And if people want to contact you, should they go through your non-drag alter ego, Grayson Nordgren?
Yeah. So they can contact me in whatever way they find me. The easiest way to contact me is through Facebook. So I'm sure we'll link my stuff in there. Just send me a message if you have any questions or you want to know where I'm going to be at or what events I'm doing. I'm planning to do quite a few different kinds of events, so just more than just your typical drag show, so things like drag queen brunches, possibly doing drag queen karaoke, and just fun things for people to do, just to have a good time in Kelowna.
Terrific.
Bring people out.
Jenna, thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And you're watching KelownaNow.